Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome to a new episode of Soul Love, and today I share the magic of my beautiful soul sister, Gao Motsemme. I'm so happy that you are here.
I'm grateful to be here too.
It's so exciting. We already shared a little bit previous, but I'm very happy to share your magic and your enthusiasm, but also your honest share. So we just had a little bit already a talk about vulnerability and about passion and because you're all about passion. So maybe you can already share a little bit about how you came into, how you discovered the importance of vulnerability and passion in your own life and how you are presenting that to the world.
Yeah. Wow.
A big question, yes.
Yeah, it is a big question.
Yeah.
But it's quite interesting because as everyone, we go through our own initiations, basically, yes. Even though we call them challenges, yeah. But those challenges, and actually this is where, because as much as I'm like challenges, right now, like I'm at a state where when I call them challenges, I feel this flirting energy where there is kind of like, you want to come here? Like, it's kind of like an invite that is just like, yes. Come on, baby, let's play together, you know? It's still that energy that is just coming through of playfulness, of teasing, of teasing. Yes. Come on, do you wanna make love? Do you wanna play with me and all that? But by then I didn't feel that way. There wasn't this energy of pleasure and intimacy and vulnerability. I was a strong woman. Who can identify with a strong woman? Yes. I'm one of those. Yes.
Yes.
I was just like, I'm the strong woman. I don't get hurt. I don't cry for anybody. I'm just so strong, and I'm gonna keep on pushing. And actually, the energy that was behind it was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, because as we know, most of the things that we go through, they come from our childhood, So I'm one of those people who also had to fight to be me. Where I constantly had to be reminded that you are not like my other children. So I was kind of like a rebel, but we rebel to be ourselves in a culture where we kind of like condition or program that we have to be a certain way, right? So with this pain of wanting to be myself, I had my back and I had to be strong, and I didn't trust anyone. So I was kind of like going with that strong woman energy, until I went through a situation where I was separated with my children. For me, I think that was the first time where the strength that I had faced so many judicial injustice that at the end, I still remember I just broke down and I said, I don't want to be strong anymore. I don't want to be strong. And I feel that was the moment where this whole strong woman facade, this whole strong woman mask that I was wearing broke down into pieces. And all this, I had my back, all these baggages that I was carrying, it's kind of like they were lifted or taken away from me, where it's kind of like you're just dropping everything. And with that, I went on this journey of just learning how to embrace this vulnerability, just learning to break down and cry and feeling good with it. It's amazing, actually, because we are afraid of it. But the moment you do it, trust me, I would cry and then laugh at the same time and laugh at me laughing and crying. How beautiful is that?
That's amazing.
It's kind of like, come on, it's just a play. There is nothing real, even though it feels so real, but when you allow this, it's kind of like you're doing the dance with the inner child where you're looking at each other, because it's you looking deep within you. For instance, if you look at yourself in the mirror, which is something that I do, a lot, and I look at myself and I'm crying because something is happening, and I'm just feeling these emotions, and at the same time I look at myself and I start crying. I start laughing again, and it's just that invite that is happening. So as I was going through that and also showing up the way I was guided to show up, because as all that was happening, I still remember one day I woke up I was in a spiritual journey, and the voice that was just coming through was like, it's time. It's time.
It is time.
Yeah. Yes. And I was going through out of body experience, in body experience, where I was just shown what I came here to do. And it was like, you cannot come here and just be who you are not meant to be and not do what you are meant to do, you know? So as I was starting to show up, I was just doing a video. And as I was doing that, I just had this download because I was being directed at the same time I'm talking, and I'm just feeling into my body, and I'm feeling this sensuality. I'm feeling this energy that I'm just feeling in my womb space, in my genitals. And it felt so good. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So it's a process, but it's an amazing process to release the strong woman mask and embrace the vulnerability, and also embrace the sexuality and the sensual energy, which is the life force energy really goes through us. Yeah.
But it's letting go of the illusion that a strong woman, like don't cry, don't show your emotions, don't show your vulnerability, don't show your shame, don't show your. It is an illusion. It is not strengthened. It's not foundations within your root, and that's beautiful about the moment you allow that facade to go away, the moment you allow yourself to feel, to experience, to go within your body sensations, to awaken your life force energy, you will feel that is much stronger. But then it's centered within, and it is foundations within your beingness. And from that, but it's like an illusion. You can only discover that through your own experience, that it's more powerful to show your vulnerability, to show like, I don't have all the answers, because we don't have all the answers. We're constantly learning and growing. Exactly. But that's the true power. The true power comes from within, not from the mind, but from the heart. The heart is so much powerful than all these other limitations that we have been taught when growing up. And it's so powerful. And I love how you also embrace the playfulness and how you share, like, because at one moment you also see like, oh yeah, a challenge comes, bring it on, because you know you are growing and expanding. And that doesn't mean it's heavy. Sometimes we're in the middle of the storm and it's like, it's overload, or you feel like it's too much. But then you also notice that at the end, or when you have overcome that, or when you have embraced these parts within yourself, because in the end, it's just embracing yourself. New things open up. But it's really powerful. And I love how you always combine like the pleasure energy and what you shared before we started this conversation about vulnerability, how that just works in many levels of your life, and also plays with your sensuality and your passion. And maybe you want to explain a little bit more about that. But that's such a powerful coming back to our passion, coming back to our allowing our kundalini energy to flow. That's life force energy.
Yeah, and as you said, if I have to talk a little bit about that, which is kind of like because as you're speaking, one of the things that came through was just like I think I'm frozen there. One of the things that came through is like the emotions that always come, which we are afraid of, like whether it's anger, sadness, grief, whatnot, which we are afraid of. But then there is something that you said about that being an illusion, because as much as it's real, it's something that it doesn't take forever as we think. The only time that we get to be in that for a long time is when we resist it.
Yes, it is.
Because even the time when I was mostly afraid of these emotions, I still remember when I kind of like went on a journey, but what I was shown and the beautiful of it was kind of like just that play of laughing and crying, because it was laughing, crying, screaming, and it was like a song. Literally, I felt it like a song. When you listen to the song, no matter how much someone has a beautiful voice, but if they just come with a higher tone, like throughout, it's boring. But when you have those deep, different tones and all that, it's like, oh, you connect with it, you can flow with it. And emotions are also just that. They just allow us to go within, out, dance, scream, whatnot, which is just that beautiful, as I shared what we were talking about before with vulnerability, to say that when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it's something that let us relax. It's kind of like, just relax, let go, and allow that which you are to be seen, because our soul wants to be seen in its vulnerability. And the more you can let go and just relax, the more pleasure you can have. Because even if you're in a relationship, for you to be able to have that mind-blowing ecstasy orgasm, it's when you relax. You know, most of the women, especially when I just bring in that, we are not able to have to orgasm because we are so tense. But for us to be able to reach that orgasmic level that is mind-blowing, and because at the same time, it's also, I don't think it's only me that when we experience that orgasm, it's kind of like it's something spiritual that is happening, where it's kind of like you don't, it's like you disconnect with the body, and you are somewhere where you don't even know where you were when you allow yourself to have that orgasm and experiences, where it's kind of like from this like, whoa, what was that, and for you to experience that deep level intimacy, you need to trust, to be honest, to trust, to open, so this is where vulnerability takes us. It's not only about life, it's us also allowing ourselves to have that radical pleasure, which is really that life force energy that says yes to life, because you are saying yes to pleasure, and that's inviting pleasure in your life, to say no matter what is happening, no matter what I'm processing, no matter what I'm creating, I don't want to create it from fear. I don't want to create it from discomfort. I want to create it from pleasure. And the beautiful thing is, I always say healing is pleasurable, and that's an intention right there, because with an intention and then your attention, and you bring in the feelings, because when we talk about pleasure, the feeling, the vulnerability, is you opening up to more, and that gets to manifest or create something in your physical reality, because there we're talking about that pleasure, which if you connect with it, whether it's through the sound or just the breath, intentionally, you connect to that genitals or your womb area, and that's the place where we get to create and give birth to something in our physical reality. We know as women that for us to have a child, we gotta have something in our womb space. This is our creation space. This is our sexual energy. This is our pleasurable energy, and it is also our money space. That's why we get to align with money, or we deny it, through shame and all that, because there is that shame. Even some people, when they hear the conversation about pleasure, sexuality, sensuality, it's kind of like, I'm not comfortable with that. But when you allow it to be, but still be intentional and put your attention on having that pleasure, the shame and all that discomfort is going to come through, and you can bring in the breath. And I just love the breath. There is this process that I call the radical pleasure, which is like, for instance, when I'm just going to do this sound, and the moment you hear them, it's kind of like something is happening. And I love that invite, because as much as your logic might be judging, but your body is going to do something, which like it's physical. We are in the body. There is something that is happening within the heart. There is something that is happening in our genitals, and you invite that and anchor and ground that. How beautiful.
It's saying yes to life. It is beautiful. And it's saying yes to life, and yes to our body, yes to our emotions as well. Because it's like also the illusion that we can't have these ecstatic experiences if we don't allow ourselves to feel. It's like if we want to stay in normal zone, you can never have these extended experiences that are just growing you, and that are just, it's inviting you to dance with whatever comes on your path, and to embrace all the parts. And I love that you're saying like feel within your body, because that is especially sensuality, and there are so many layers on that, but there is so much potency within that, like our life force energy, our kundalini energy. And it's not even in sexual interaction. It's also just allowing ourselves to enjoy the beauty around us, allowing ourselves to be ecstatic, to be joyful, to be. It's like from growing up, a lot of people have so been taught to not be so much, but why not? Because it is within this being that so much power arises. And I think all these conversations need to break open, especially for women. There is so much shame in our womb space, so much shame and so much, and we are worthy of it. Because it's time that we stand in our power and co-create with the divine masculine from our centeredness, from within, and with the world. It's time for us to stand up and to own our pleasure. So I love that you are bringing this into the conversation, also the vulnerability, because we can't connect on such a deep level with ourselves, but also with source and with this life force energy if we're not being willing to see all of who we are, if we're not being willing to be vulnerable. So vulnerable is on so many ways, and it doesn't mean you have to show it to the whole world, but just take baby steps. Invite people or see with who you can do that. And even if you get hurt in that, embrace yourself, because I also noticed in my own journey, sometimes you're vulnerable to a certain soul that is not ready for that, or that will not interact with that like in a way that suits you, but that's fine. It's then healing also those parts within yourself, because in the end, vulnerability is strength, it's power. And I love how you shared it as well. You feel it in the core of your being, also the sounds you make, you feel it in your body, you feel it in, and then it's also interesting because a layer of shame comes, your mind immediately interferes. But then it's coming back into your body because your body is telling the truth. And I think that is the message. Your body, your sensations, your emotions, that is your truth. It's not what your mind thinks and all the limiting beliefs. So thank you for cracking this open, because it's important. This is what the world needs.
Exactly. And I love what you said about vulnerability, as in like going out there and opening to someone who's going to exploit you and all that. Because like you say, also what you mentioned when you said sexuality is not about sexual activity.
No.
It's the frequency, it's the energy that creates, right? And even in relationships, there is sexual activity, and the sensuality is missing.
Yes, it is.
We can agree in that. And
but then you can also not reach these heights, these ecstatic heights where you are connecting with source on many ways.
And actually, I just love that, because the connection to source is the connection to ourselves. It all starts with us, because source is what is within us and what is in everything out there. So, and you can imagine if you have connected with yourself at a deeper level, and you have this frequency that you are operating in, you cannot help it but have the universe bring into your awareness, or bring into you those who also are at that level. Because this is, I mean, our sexual energy is a healing energy. Whether you are doing it consciously or unconsciously, you might be the kind of person who attracts those toxic people and all that, and kind of like, I'm tired of this and all that, and you like, I don't even know why I'm bringing this and all that, which is something that we don't want to hear. I still remember I was talking to someone, and I said, there is a part of you that is attractive. And it's like, what are you talking about? Do you want to tell me that I'm arrogant? And she started listing a lot of things, and I said, unfortunately, yes. And even when we talk about you or me, the me that I am is not only me, how the physical being that is here, it's me, how, and all my family and ancestral lineage. It is me, because we are all one. When we bring in that oneness energy, when you look at yourself like as a separate from everything, then you want to think like, I'm not arrogant, I'm not all that, I'm not narcissistic, I can't bring in people who are like that. But when you look at the whole really, it's kind of like, this exists within me, because for me, like, even I still remember there was a time when I was going through my own healing, and I was just screaming at my father. My father is late. He passed on when I was 14. And I was just screaming, and I said, I'm going through this because of you, and definitely it's not like because of him, and again, it's because of him, because the kind of relationship that I was attracting, I was looking for my father. And even if I saw the red flags, and this is also the thing, because yesterday I saw something when someone said, I don't like it because this men are so good at hiding the red flags, and you realize them when it's so late. And what I just recalled is like, you cannot see the red flags if that's what you know. You understand? I always say we attract the love that we know. There is the love that consciously we want, but then there is the love that we know that even when you talk about type, like that's my type. When you look at the type, like kind of people that we attract, you realize that the type that we're talking about, the type that turns you on is the type of the love that you are used to, which it could be drama, it could be just the emotionally unavailable men and all that, you know. So when we look at the I am, it's like that oneness, but that oneness before you can unbind from those discordant matrix and grids, then it's kind of like messy, you know. I'm all that messiness, I'm all that, you know. But then when you embrace it, as you going through the healing and not denying it, because most of the time we want what is good, you know. I want to show you what I think you want to. Actually, this is also the messy part of it. Even when we get into the intimate relationships and all that, we always want to bring in what we think the other person wants to see, so we don't get to be our authentic self, which is the magic. And that authentic self, again, even if it comes through, I believe, even if it comes through distorted or whatever, it's still us, and it can even speed or accelerate the ending of that relationship, that we can now be by ourselves and bring in our sexual energy and use it for our own healing. Because before we can embrace it and use it for our creation, listen to this, before we can embrace our energy, integrate it, and use it to create the life that we desire, and use it as that source of love, you know, which is just all of it, just embracing all of it and dancing with all of it and just loving all of it, we're gonna use our sexual energy to heal men or women who are not even ready to heal themselves. So they just come in for that juiciness, for that amazing energy, and they get what they want. And from there, it's kind of like, I'm done. Because in our mind, I'll just give an example with myself, with a young girl who still wants to connect with her father, like on a deeper level. And then the father also passed on when I'm still young, because 14 is still a young age, you know, but I'm still getting there to be a teenager and all that. And I'm disappointed that I never connected on that deeper level. I'm still missing that masculine energy, that man, you know, and I'm looking for that absence, which is the absence that I know, or the presence that I know is the absence of emotion, is the absence of that deeper connection. That's the man that I know. I'm gonna look for my father. And a part of me, again, as a healer, because some of these things, again, we just who we are. We are healers. We want to nurture, we want to nourish, again, bringing in those mother instincts. A part of me I still want to save my father. That's the energy that I was operating in. And any man who was broken, no matter whether I see it, a part of me is, I'm going to help him heal. And he's going to change. And maybe he's going to love me, you know. And not even respecting that individualism, which it could be, I'm showing up as an alcoholic, and I'm going to be an alcoholic until it's time, you know, understanding that we all evolve, ascend in our own divine timing, and our soul knows what we need, you know. So we might be meeting them because they're just going to share with us the files that we need so that we can grow, so that we can evolve, right? So there's just magic that is just happening there.
But there's so much power in that, because in the end, we attract the souls that we are, that can support us to grow if we want to see the message. But in the end, the solution is within ourselves. It's not in changing someone else. No, it's changing and growing and being honest about what a certain situation or relationship reflects to ourselves, and also honoring the other person, because they are on their own journey, and they also need to be their uniqueness, their beingness, and it's on. So I think the whole world, it's just honoring our own responsibility within, in our connections, in our, because that's where real growth starts. It's like, so I love how you're sharing yeah, it's so important to if you want a different relationship, if something shifts, first change within, because otherwise you will just attract the same relationship again. And I know it's not easy, but if you really want change, that's the work you need to do. It's also in that becoming honest. Like, the whole world likes to tell all these fairy tale stories, but sometimes it's just doing the hard work, embracing with laughter, the tears, the screaming, the yelling, the dancing, because that is life. That it's just allowing ourselves to feel the depth, but also, because that's what I noticed, like, the more you allow yourself to feel, the more ecstatic it also will be. But if you don't allow yourself to feel, how can you then reach those heights? How can you then be this magnetic force that attracts what you deeply desire? Because you're not operating in that frequency. Because when you allow yourself to be, you operate at your highest level. And that also means, like, you can embrace everything that you are. Because that was what we're also constantly doing. It's like, we are who we are, centered in ourselves. And when you're centered in yourself, it doesn't matter if you feel like crying or screaming, or because you know, this is where I will come back to. It's like almost like we are so the foundation in ourselves is so strong that we can do this. And it doesn't matter. Instead of we do this and then we break. No, we now have that awareness within ourselves that we are powerful. We are powerful, but that means allowing the life force energy, because also with a tree, it needs the connection with earth. It needs its nourishment, its love, its strong foundedness. So that's also our life force energy, is that our Kundalini energy, that is the strength from within that allows us to be okay with this, because we know we're always,
It's the fire, that alchemy that is transmuting something within. And even this crying, this screaming, when we just talk about also love making, when you are deep in there and it's just so pleasurable, we also get to scream, we get to cry, we get and it's just happening unconsciously, but it's the pleasure, because we are just embracing this energy that is flowing within us. We are embracing this fire that is you know, and we can still do the same thing, knowing that it's just the other side of the coin. But again, it's just that process of alchemy. It's also there is something that magical that is just happening when we just allow our body to dance with that, which is I call it integrating our shadow into our power, because it's just the more we can go there, like, which is, I feel like it's more creating the foundation, or even opening up the capacity for us to be able to receive, because at times we wanna, because even when we talk about feelings, emotions, and all that, it's when we talk about accelerating creation, manifestations, and all that, it is that. It's being intentional and putting your attention in that feeling. How would it feel like to have this, and you make love with that. It accelerates that creation. But at times you want to have that, which is, I love the visualization, but the visualization, the reason why it hasn't worked for so many people is because it's out there. You understand? But when you bring in the feeling, I get to embody the frequency of how I'm gonna feel. It's making love with it, because you can feel it within your body. When you bring in, for instance, 50,000 K per month, you can allow and call it in your body and see what your body is saying with that, and if you are open to that teasing, that flirting, even though it might not be a yes, but you can play with it. You play with it. How would it feel like? You can just imagine that is kind of like still touching you, just feeling it a little bit. You just breathe together, looking at each other with that highest consciousness of that 50K that you're calling forth. It's the play that is in it. It's the curiosity that is in it. It's the openness. Is the trust that is just happening at that time. That intimacy where I'm just gonna open up to you. And this is what I want to bring. This is what I want to create. This is what I want to dance with. And at times it's bringing in what is here. To say, there is no space for me. And I still remember the other time when I connected with orgasmic money, like I always say. And I was just shown this energy that was just like so through. And I was like, whoa. And I kind of like opened the kind of like a door open. And I was just looking at that. And it was like, how can I be in this here? Because it's so competitive. We know that the competition of, like, it's fear that is there. And orgasmic money said, I don't want to be in this space.
No,
there's no way I can be. So at times the discomfort is coming through to say, can we release this fear, this shame, this competitive, and bring in the energy of pleasure, of joy, of collaboration, of abundance, prosperity, knowing that there is enough for everybody. And when you just bring all of that, then you just get to expand. But at times it's uncomfortable because you get to release something that you have been creating in for many years, at times, many centuries, because we still that I am one with all that is, which is those ancestral karmic survival patterns and all that. Yeah,
because if the resistance wasn't there, you already would have manifested in your life.
Definitely.
So, but I love, like, it truly is like when we have the vision we desire or the manifestation desire, to feel it in our body, not only like in meditation, dream about it, but to feel it in every sensation in our body, in our emotions, in our, the moment you were sharing, I saw this beautiful, like in sports, when people hit the home run, they're so excited, they're screaming, they're dancing, that we should do that in our manifestation desires, visualize it, but then also feel like, yes, how would you feel if you get it?
Exactly.
Would you do a happy dance, or would you do, I don't know, but it's like when you shared that, I saw that beautiful image of when people reach something they really want. It's like, how would you feel? How does your body feel? How would you be excited? And then it's again, allowing that intense beauty emotion to be. Allowing that excitement to be, and I love that in your energy as well. You're always sharing with such passion and that's beautiful, because we need that. It's like, stop putting on the brakes. Live.
That's exactly where the embodiment comes in, where it's not like I talk about the separation, where it's kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna decorate it and put all those whatever. I'm just gonna say it as it is. Many people live from the neck up, which is and I love the mindset, but at times people disconnect from the heart, which is like that heart set frequency, which is like that body frequency, because it's uncomfortable when they start. It's kind of like that feeling, that contraction, but then they dismiss that, kind of like, I'm just gonna cut that off and I'm gonna continue with the mind. And I've realized that even in the spiritual community, the whole connection to source is kind of like it's out there, you understand, where it's kind of like, I want to connect to maybe Mother Mary, whatever entities, light beings, and all that, angels, and how can that be without the most important person, which is you, which is me, which is us? You understand? And no matter what we want to bring here on earth, there is nothing that can be birthed here. There is nothing those entities, ascended master angelic beings, can birth here without us. Do you understand how important we are? And
they need us
to create that. Exactly. And we need them. So we are them, they are us. And when we cannot embrace that we are God incarnate in physical form, how can we bring in those God frequencies? How can we connect with that high expansive energy that we are, if we are not willing to embrace and expand the God self that we are? Because it starts with that. Even though we are co-creating with them, at the end of the day, what gets to happen? What we declare and embody to say, I'm gonna create. Even, for instance, I know a lot of people, when you talk about ancestral healing, I mean, I was that person too, to be honest. I just wanted to connect to I just wanted to connect to the angels. I was like, I'm in angelic beings of light, I'm here.
And now I'm happy.
You know, I was excited.
Now my life is saved.
You know, and I can talk about angels without any shame and all that. I can talk about, come on, who doesn't want to connect with angels? You know,
no,
and I was like excited.
Yes.
Except that when I was like on my journey, and a part of me is like, I don't know what my gifts are, you know. And then I was brought back to the reality.
Yeah.
Go back to your roots.
It is.
Go back to your, and that's oneness. There is no how we can embrace ascended masters and angelic beings of light and forget our ancestral beings of light. But even though you know, even though part of there is all those heavy karmic survival patterns, that's what we are here at our core. our soul has agreed to come, and we knew there is some heaviness that's some things also that we carrying through, that are coming with, and we chose the lineage that we are born in, because we know there's some part of us that we need to heal so that we can integrate and be whole, right? So when I was brought back to those ancestral beings, which people are afraid of that because they're like, it's like heavy energy and all that, but as a God self, a God self, you get to choose what you want to create, and you get to also call in those who are in alignment with those frequencies that you're calling forth. If you are in alignment with pure love and light, joy, pure joy, if you're in an alignment with oneness into consciousness and all that, you are setting a tone of who gets to be with me as we create this magic that we get to create. That is embodying your God self, and then you can co-create with all that is, it's not about, I'll say what spirit says, I'll just pray to God. Maybe God doesn't want it, and God is like, if you want it, you can have it.
Make it happen.
You are like, God, because God is who you are. So when you embrace your God self, you kind of like, I want this, and it's gonna happen. And that is also saying, I'm ready to do the work, because it might not be happening because there's some inner work that needs to be done, and when you I've realized that my team has this. I still remember I had some birth trauma when I was giving birth to my last one and all that, and I had a point. I was not aware, but of course, after some time, I was angry with that, and I thought I was done with the healing of that. But then the other time, I was on my journey, and I was shocked. But they just came through to say, do you want to heal? Do you want to let go? You want to give birth to this child again? It's kind of like, because I was not even aware I'm still holding into all the pain and whatever that happened. So the question is, do I want to give birth to her again? Or I'm ready to accept that the birth and everything happened the way it happened. Now I can open up to receive the healing, because as much as we calling forth whatever, I can just say whatever that I'm saying, but if I have not let go of that, you can have all the beings that you're talking about, but they do not have access because you have not opened up. But because the new cannot come here while you have not let go of the old, but if you are willing to release that, like for instance, releasing the birth trauma and all that happened and all that, and then which is also is calling me to also be vulnerable and just surrender and just say, at times it can be just, I don't know, or whatever that is, and when you do that, you are allowing the energy, the healing, the codes, the frequencies that are coming through to help you to heal, so that you can move into your next level of expansion, And
it's all about embodiment. It's about
embodiment.
It is connecting to these higher frequencies of ourselves, of God, and then allowing it to come into our physical body. But also descending, allowing our soul, our higher self, to descend into our physical body. But that means feeling, because the more we descend into physical body, it means we need to go through these layers of shedding, of shadows, of whatever. It means feeling. But then that's why we came here. We knew it would be difficult, but we came here to feel, to go through these 3D layers, to go through these dense layers and bring our light. But that means clearing out all these layers that are not light, so that more of our essence can shine too, more of God can be embodied. But embodiment, it's not only a state in the higher consciousness. Embodiment is a state in your body, in your sensations, in your every part of your being. And that means feeling the good, but also feeling what needs to be cleared and what needs to be shifted. So I think that's an important thing. And also just like, how can you bring it in your everyday life? How can you bridge these higher dimensions? Yes, receiving a message, but then it's how do you bring it forth into this world, through your beingness, through your body, through your, I love that.
Because it's through the body that we get to, like I said, giving birth.
It is.
You can't give birth if you are not in your body. You cannot give birth to that which you want to see in your, like that's tangible, whatever, in physical reality, if you are always flying there. And I still remember at the beginning of my spiritual journey, it was amazing. I would go into meditation and go out there and, and it was lovely, but there was nothing to show in my physical reality. Like absolutely nothing. And even at times I'll come out of there, and I still don't recall, but I know that it was expansive. And at some point, at first, actually, I was feeling depressed, you know, where when I come out of my meditation, I just want to go back. A part of me was like,
yeah, but then it's
I don't want to be
escaping.
here. You know, I just want to go back to that. Yes. You know, I don't want to be here, you know. Yeah. And at some point I was just like, this is not taking me anywhere. You can sit in meditation for hours or in whatever, but if you are not able to create, if you are not able to also relate with other people, if you are not able to I saw something yesterday also that proved that the real awakening happens when you can be in a conflict, in an argument, when you can face a challenge, and maybe you do it the way you've always done it, and then at some point realize that I can do it differently. And still that's really awakening. And still, even when you talk about relationship, because I know that being in relationship can be challenging. And of course, it's about growth, right? And as we are growing, we are outgrowing some things and all that. And some people have this illusion that I love myself. I call it mentalization of self-love. I love myself and I'm just going to be here and connect and do my work spiritually and all that. I don't want to be in a relationship. Is it really true? Or when you are alone in the middle of the night, you're turning and tossing around, and a part of you is like, I'm tired of being lonely. And as you're saying that, you feel that pain in your stomach, that, you know, like, I'm afraid of attracting someone who is toxic. And at the same time, you know, because we all want to be loved, right? And in truth, is it like that you love yourself, or there is something that you are denying yourself because of the fear or because of the unhealed aspects and all that?
But also the fear of being vulnerable again.
Yeah, the fear of being vulnerable. Exactly. Because have you realized that you can do the work by yourself? If you're in a relationship, you can be with your partner. Yeah. And when you get to other things, it's kind of like, oh God, I thought I was done with that. Or even with family. Family is kind of like, what is the evolved person here? Because now you get to really know some stuff, and at times you repeat them, and then at some point you realize that no, I've outgrown this. I'm not, you know, and that's growth right there, because you are. That's the embodiment still, because you are in it, you are practicing, you are being one with all that is. It's not theory, because theory, you can read a book and it feels good, or go to a workshop somewhere or retreat or whatever, and then when it comes to face the reality, it's kind of like,
but that's it. Yes, that's also why, but you as well, I like group or longer group programs, or working with people longer, because yes, you can have this ecstatic thing, but for real change, you need to embody it, you need to embrace it, and the next time a trigger comes, you need to be able to handle it in a new way. And even if you don't, that's fine, but it's like through consistent repeating of things, you start to change, through consistently feeling this is not what I want, and then at one point you feel now it's enough, I'm doing it differently. But sometimes we need these things, everyone. It's like so I love all your shares and your magic, and I think there's so much more that we can share, but for now it's almost the end of our podcast for now. Is there one thing you would like to share with the listeners, the audience, at this moment that you say,
as you mentioned a bit about the post that I shared, we are going through turbulent times. We're going through amazing shifts, and whether we want to embrace them or not, or whatever that we're telling ourselves, it's not going to end anytime soon, you know. And as we're going through this, the whole thing, I was talking to someone 2 days ago and said, is there going to be a normal? What is even normal? You understand? So all I can share is just that we are going through rapid changes, and they're going to happen for a long time. And if you're the kind of person who's still looking for normal, who's still looking for certainty, I'm just going to invite you to embrace these uncertain times, and to start making love with uncertainty, to start being curious with uncertainty, to start allowing the evolution to happen, and allow your desire to guide you, because you've got a choice to focus on what's wrong and go find reasons of that, of why that is wrong, or you want to find, I mean, I don't want to say what is right, but what is more expansive, what is more pleasurable. Because if you're still holding into an illusion of certainty, then you're gonna be, it's kind of like you're activating more of those survival instincts, and you're gonna keep on repeating the same patterns over and over again. But when you go towards that which you want, the desire, the expansiveness, curiosity with this uncertainty, what is it that I can create? And just be curious and open up to make love with the universe. The universe is gonna make love with you, and you're gonna create from that orgasmic energy.
Yes, let's end with the orgasmic energies, because that is so important, and finding ourselves worthy enough to live that, ecstatic state. So thank you for sharing your magic. If you want to find Gao's beautiful work and messages and want to connect with her, you can find her information below. And for now, I would just wish you a beautiful day, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next Soul Love podcast. Much love. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.